So today we are going to finish this arm, and I'm going to show you guys this. This is the print in tissue paper that you guys have on the printing material, and this is the tissue paper. So what I do here is I put my tissue paper just loosen like that, and I put a tape on top of just a E4 paper, like just a printing paper, normal, regular. So that's gonna make the printer pull it in and just print it normal. So when you put in the printer, you put this part like down like this, and then it's gonna pull it and print it over. And just make sure that it's gonna be well placed in here so it doesn't get all tangled, the paper. And yeah, this works pretty well, so you can just do it at home. So I'm going to put some volume in the arm. I already did on this one. I decided to put it on this one. I'm not sure if this is going to be enough, but I'm just going to measure here with the tattoos. I think that's enough. So this is going to be the thickness. And something else I want to mention here is that I told you guys if you want to put more volume in the arm, you can. But I actually didn't explain how to put this volume, where to put this volume. So I'm going to go, when I'm doing this arm today, I'm going to talk about it with you guys a little bit, okay? So here it's a little bit of a theory. I'm not going to go deep on it because from the caricature we don't really need a lot. But it's really good if you can learn this way to look to an arm. So if you put your arm like with your hands, thumb to the front of your body, and you divide your arm like kind of like make a square, you are going to have that side of the arm facing the outside. And that's the best position for us to realize where things go in the arm. So if you put your thumb to the front of your leg, and you're going to have this position, so that surface is going to face outside of your body, right? So that's the pose that you actually keep more often on your arm. And let's call this surface B surface, okay? This one, the green one, that is outside of your arm. So usually it's facing the outside, but when you turn your arm up like that, it's going to face up, okay? So it depends on how you turn your arm, but then you know that this is the B surface. And then knowing that, you can know where things go. So the deltoid is the muscle the shoulder muscle, this one here, there's a tip, and the tip goes in the middle of the B surface, like this. And then in front of the surface here, in this surface, in front of the B, goes the biceps, right here. And on the back of this, in this area here, goes the tricep, that it's split in two, right? And here, let me show here, there. So here the triceps, biceps, and this is deltoid, B surface, here. And then this bottom part under the elbow, this is the one that twists even more, so you can twist your arm a lot. But if you look to these two volumes here, I'm not going to say that is a muscle because there's a lot of things that go in here together. It's not just one muscle. But there's a volume that goes here, and it crossed the line of the where you bend your arm. So this it's a little bit chubbier, this part of the arm, here and here. And the outside part is chubbier than the inside, more volume than the inside. Okay, so if you don't want to make a strong person, you don't need to worry about biceps and triceps. You just go for a straight arm like this. And then let's fold the B surface here, elbow. You can put an elbow depending on the style that you want to do. And then you just make sure if you're going to put volume and you don't want to make a strong person, don't put a biceps. Don't put a huge big deltoid. You can put a little bit of deltoid. Don't put any triceps. And then you can put the volumes in here. So this part and inside. This is bigger than inside though. And goes like this, and start losing this volume once it reaches the front. And then how do you know how to turn this volume here? Because it also, when you turn your arm, this volume also change direction. So to know that, what I do is I do my B surface here. So deltoid, biceps. And in front of the biceps, right in front, So here, looking here, the front of the biceps, we have this cut on the arm that you can see a line. Right in the center is where it loses a little bit of volume and where you can divide the two volumes in two. And this line goes straight to this part here. So let me show it in my arm. So my bicep is here, and then this line here, I make a straight line that goes all the way to the front of my hand here in the center. And then it's easier to know that volume 1 is here, volume 2 is here, this one is bigger than this one. And then if I do this, this volume kind of move around and goes to this direction. Always go into this direction on my wrist here, the front. Not sure if you guys could understand. It's a little bit of too simplified information for such a complex anatomy. It's a study that you should do apart. We can't really go in so many details in a caricature class, but at least you know now that that's why I add some volume, more volume here and here. Okay, and that's basically what you need to know if you're not making a strong person. If you're making a strong person, then you have to add some biceps, some deltoid, and the triceps as well to make it look strong, because those muscles really pop out in a strong person. Okay, so based on those volumes that I just said, let's do this. But first, I want to mention something that is really important, and it is that we made this arm and we put a little bit of shoulder in here. And this arm, we still didn't make a shoulder or anything, but look how it looks so much smaller than this one. Even if you measure, it's gonna look smaller. Why is that? Because we still didn't put a shoulder, and she is bringing this shoulder way over here, and that's what's gonna give the right size of this arm. So we're gonna start measuring where the elbow goes. So elbow goes here. Okay, so I'm gonna put a little clay in there just to mark where the elbow goes. It's too big. And where the elbow is facing to, because she's turning her hand here, so elbow goes to the back, right there. Still higher than that. Here, elbow. Okay, so I'm just gonna leave it there. I don't need to keep it. It's just to remind me where the elbow goes, and then I'm gonna measure elbow to shoulder, and then you see how much up we're gonna have to bring this shoulder to keep the same size in here. There. Okay, so this is where our shoulder must go. So it's very high, and that's gonna give us a lot of more movement, and she's gonna be showing that she's actually turning her body all up here and breaking this line. And it's going to give a lot of movement and the right size for this arm here. So we have to really be careful, because sometimes we put the skeleton in the right position, but when we start filling up with clay, we mess it up because we don't put enough shoulder in here, so the arm looks short and she loses movement and everything goes wrong. So we have to be careful with that. Filling up with clay is really important. So keep your measurements, keep your tool with you, make sure that you won't forget to keep everything the proper size in there. So this is where it's gonna go, and it's very high. But look how it looks like that she is actually having some movement and putting this shoulder up, and before it didn't really. You see, it's way better. Let me just make sure I reached what I should. Can be a little bit higher even. So always measure, because see, sometimes it looks like it is good for us, and then when you measure it's not quite. So I'm gonna roughly smooth this out, and I'm gonna bring the hand is stuck in the body. It's so much easier and keep on going with the hand to meet the boob there. The fingers. I'm gonna smooth that out after. here, and here I can keep on a little bit of the underarm here showing. There. Okay. So now I'm going to put the thickness of this arm here, so shoulder to elbow, and I won't put any chubbier part here because I don't want her to have muscles. This part here I can just smooth with the brush after. It's easier to smooth out with the brush. We can just kind of roughly smooth in with the tool, and then with the brush you do the ending. I always do like that. I think it's... I just have to measure up the two arms now to see if I got the same thickness for both of them, which I think this one can be a little bit thicker yet still. Here you just, if you want to put the scapula here, it's a scapula. I searched in English and it is scapula, same name as in Portuguese. If you want to put in here, you can. Because it's a caricature, you really don't have to, but I always like to put a little bit of something that reminds me of scapula, just because it, I don't know, it feels to me that it gives more movement to the sculpture. But for Amy Winehouse, like, really, you don't need to put anything because she's gonna have so much hair here covering everything, so don't even worry about it. I'm gonna put it one just to show you guys where it goes. So it's same as here, and it depends on where your shoulder goes to. That's also another study you should do if you want to work with realistic stuff. But if you're just a caricature, you just need to kind of like put a bone in here. It goes straight from the shoulder and gets taller in the back here. Depending on the pose of your arm, it pops out even more, or in, depending on the position of your arm. So. And then it loses, and then it loses volume on the spine here. So I'm just gonna put a little bit and then I'll smooth it out with a brush. So now that you have the top part with the same thickness, I'm still gonna measure and smooth it out, but for now that's good enough. I'm gonna put the elbow to wrist. So remember, the outside part, so where is surface B here? So side of the arm, this is elbow, so the surface B is kind of facing more to the front. So elbow, deltoid here, biceps would be facing a little bit in because she's turning her arm, triceps would be here, the triceps go right over the elbow, the triceps, and it's twisting, so it comes from here. And the chubbier part is here and here. So we have to find out where is her biceps. So deltoid would be here. I'm gonna have to mess up the arm that I just did. So deltoid would be here. Triceps here, elbow here. Let me make a pointy elbow here. Triceps here, biceps here. So if the bicep is here, we have a line here. I'm going to put all the way there to here. And her wrist is here. So what happens to that? She is twisting her arm like this. So the chubbier part is also twisting. So it would be here and twisting to that side. I don't know if you guys are getting that, but something like that. And then the other one on the other side. Let's see if you guys can see it. Right there. And connecting together in the back of the wrist. But it's a caricature, right? So that's what I want to get with you guys. You don't really need to worry so much about it for a caricature. What do I do for caricature is I get a little bit of clay and I make all this part chubbier. All the top, all of it chubbier, and I squeeze down, and then I see where I want to stop the chubbier part, and just reaching there. And I don't add any other information, so I don't really have to show none of that muscles that I just mentioned and stuff like that. You don't really need to worry about it. All you need to worry about is when you're gonna start the chubby to lose volume, because it could be in the half of the arm, it could be closer to the wrist. It all depends on the style that you want to give, right? Because what happens here, can you do different? Oh, can I put different parts on chubbier somewhere? You can. Obviously you can. It's a caricature, as I said. There's no commitment with reality. But if you know the right anatomy, the right volumes, then you can play around with better because you know it. So you know where you can go bigger, where you can go smaller, and I don't know, do the kind of games that you want with those volumes. But if you don't know anything, how can you play and change things that you don't know the right way, right? That's why I went through some basic anatomy with you guys, but if you guys can go deeper, that's better. All right, so there it is. So chubbier right under the elbow, and start losing volume once it reaches the wrist. And that's enough information for our caricature. Now we have to bake that. I mean, smooth it out, obviously. I'm going to smooth with the brush, oil, and then alcohol. And bake it in 275 Fahrenheit or 130 Celsius degrees for about 15 to 20 minutes. That's enough for this size and this amount of clay that we just add. Okay? Just smoothing it out with an oily brush. This time I didn't really put a lot of oil in my brush, so I might not even need to do the alcohol. It's getting pretty smooth already. And it's not all oily, so the alcohol is more to get the oil out, and if you don't use a very oily brush, then you might not need it. So what I did here is I dipped my brush in the oil, and then I cleaned. So I got just a little bit of oil, so I show you guys this option to it. So now we're gonna do the clavicle bone in the front of the shoulders here, connecting the shoulder with kind of the neck. So what I do here, you can just put a little roll in there. It doesn't need to be too big. And you put in the center of the neck, in the front, right there, and connect to, go to the shoulder direction, and cut it right there. There. About the shoulder. And you just, you can leave it tall in the back here. You just need to blend in, but you don't need to take the volume down. Leave it taller, like that. And in the front, you just blend in with the chest. Like this. And then take a look at the center of the neck and really finishing there. You can do different things for caricature as well. You can make like pointy or more rounded. So this one. And same thing for the other one. So in the center. And it always goes to the shoulder direction. So center. There. You see? So I made mine pointy. You can do more rounded if you want. So just move in with a brush. Alright, that's it guys. So now I'm gonna bake her.